up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing one area I think the Detroit Lions must make sure they don't overlook this offseason. One place that the Lions really need to address this offseason. Not their biggest need, but I think it is a need. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And today we're discussing the running back position as a place the Lions must make sure they don't overlook this offseason. Now, not saying this is the biggest need. There are a lot of needs. Right now, the biggest need to me is finding a head coach first, okay? I don't think it's going to be Darrell Bevell. Who knows? Maybe it is. I don't think it's going to be. So I think the biggest need is clearly finding your head coach. If you have the right leadership, everything will work itself out. You'll be okay. You'll be able to figure things out for long-term, short-term. But you got to find that first. We talked about Urban Meyer yesterday, but that's definitely what I think the Lions need, something like that, a leader. So that is the first and biggest need for me. I mean, yes, the defense looks awful right now, and, you know, the rushing attack is really bad right now. But if you have the right leader, you know, things they'll get better. You know, you'll be able to get better. And even maybe not even changing anything, they'll improve. Will they become great? No, you still need talent. But they'll get better. They'll get better with the right leader. So I think that is obviously the biggest need first. But I do want to bring up the running back room. Now, while it's not the biggest need, and obviously the defense needs a lot of work, again, I think if you have the right leaders in there, the right coaches in there, I think it will improve. It's not going to be great. It's probably still going to be below average. But the running back group is one of those positions where, because of everything that's going on this offseason, not knowing who's going to be their quarterback next, not knowing your head coach, not knowing your GM, knowing your defense is historically bad right now. Because of all this, it's easy to kind of forget about the running back room. And I think it is one place the Lions must at least address this offseason. Coming into this season, the Lions had Mccarrion. They then signed Adrian Peterson. They had Deandre Swift. We know we let go of Jason Huntley and some other guys. But that was what a running back group really looked like. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Mccarrion's going to be the number one running back. Then we signed Adrian Peterson. I was like, okay, maybe he'll get a few carries there, and we'll start to mix Swift in as we go. But this was a big year for Mccarrion Johnson. Mccarrion has back-to-back years dealing with injuries. His rookie year, he looks phenomenal. His second year, not so much. But he didn't have a full season. So we're thinking, okay, third year, you give him a running back like Swift, take some pressure off, actually maybe put some pressure on him to perform. And then, okay, there's your 1 and 2. They're kind of fighting back and forth with each other. But then we get Mccarrion Johnson, who plays in almost every game, but he's just not getting that many opportunities. He's only averaging 3.5 carries per game. That's not a lot of opportunities. I like Mccarrion because he can do everything, but in a big year, only 3.5 carries per game. Now, yeah, some of that is because they brought in this Adrian Peterson, and they said, hey, you're the number one. Now, some of that probably had to do with the fact that Darrell Bevell knew Adrian Peterson from his time in the past. So I think it's fair to say that, okay, that probably took some opportunities away from Mccarrion, which stinks. But I think it's also important that, hey, wait, they had to go sign Adrian Peterson, and they made him the number one. Now, I think their plan all along was to slowly ease Deandre Swift into things. But for Mccarrion Johnson, this guy has been here. So the fact that his role went so small so quickly is concerning. And he just wasn't able to take that jump with his opportunities. I feel like he needed more opportunities this year to prove himself. But now you're in a position where you only gave him, he's only on pace for literally like 55 carries this year. But now you're in that position where what you've seen probably doesn't have a lot of draft value because of the back-to-back injuries. He hasn't really proven to you or to us as fans that, hey, this can be a number 2 running back because of what we've seen this year and last year when he's gotten opportunities. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, we got to find a number 2 because right now all we have is Deandre Swift. When Swift is on the field versus when Mccarrion or Adrian Peterson are there, there's a huge difference from what the offensive line looks like, from what this rushing attack looks like. It's a different offense in general. There's just a different feel to it. But you can't give Deandre Swift 30 carries. The Lions won't do that. I don't think they will. You don't want to give Swift 30 carries. You got to take some pressure off him. Is he the clear number 1 if you're going forward? Yes. But you still got to take pressure off him. But if Mccarrion can't give you that, now you're in a situation where it's going to be difficult to trade him. You're looking at potentially cutting him or making him your third running back once again. Is that really what you want to do? The thing is, the Lions need to address this positional group. But it definitely turned into, okay, hey, Adrian Peterson, you're the number 1 running back. We're going to mix in Swift kind of a little bit with Mccarrion Johnson. And then as the season progressed, halfway through, about the last 6 games specifically, it's Deandre Swift, you're the number 1. Adrian Peterson, you're the number 2. And Mccarrion Johnson, you're barely going to touch the ball. I don't know who the head coach or offense coordinator is going to be, and I don't know what they're going to think when they look at the running back room. Are they going to say that, actually, we think Mccarrion Johnson, from what we've seen from him, this guy can help us. This guy can be part of the future, and we don't really need to get help here. But what I noticed right now is that I think it's pretty clear the Lions don't really believe that Mccarrion Johnson is part of the future for him. Looking at it like that, your Darrell Bevels, guys like that, I don't think they're really going to be here next season, so it doesn't really too much matter. But I think it's clear that Mccarrion Johnson isn't a guy that they look at as necessarily part of the future. Maybe the next guys do, maybe they don't. Is Mccarrion Johnson the future? Can he be the number 2 running back? Because to me, I look at him and I say, well, he's got all the tools. He has all the tools that you would ask for. The guy can, run. We've seen some flashes of his ability to run, but he can catch the ball in the backfield pretty well. He's got that to a pretty good degree. He's no theoretic. I don't think he catches the ball as well as Deandre Swift, but he can catch the ball in the backfield. He's a okay route runner. He does some things on screens. He's our best pass blocker. He has everything. He's an all-around type of running back. And it's just since his rookie season, we just haven't seen that Mccarrion Johnson since. Remember when Deandre Swift was down with the sickness, I was thinking, okay, Mccarrion's got to be the number 1. It still was. Adrian Peterson was basically the number 1 running back. And since the rookie year, when Mccarrion averaged 5.4 yards per carry for about 10 games that season, he hasn't gotten to that level, right? It was 3.6 last year. It's 3.5 right now. He has all the tools on paper. You say to yourself, okay, this guy has what it takes to be a number 2 with the opportunities. But then you watch him, you see the numbers he's putting up, and you see, how little the Lions put him on the field. You say to yourself, I just don't know, though. You want to believe that this guy has all the tools to be the number 2, but it just doesn't seem like he can be. I mean, they must be seeing something in Mccarrion Johnson. Is it just simply that they just fell in love with Adrian Peterson because Bevel and AP has that history, so they just went with him instead? Because I don't think Mccarrion Johnson got enough opportunities this season. 52 carries isn't a lot of carries. But at the same time, it's just tough that's going to be where you have to make your decision. You're going to have to make the big decision. When it comes to addressing the running back room, you have to make that decision. Mccarrion Johnson or different running back, right? Can you trade Mccarrion? He's got 1 year left on his deal. Next year could be that prove-it year. Maybe you say, let's move on from AP. Let's keep let's keep Mccarrion Johnson as that kind of number 3 back. We'll bring in someone as a number 2. But you're going to have to make the big decision whether or not you think Mccarrion can legitimately be a number 2 that's splitting carries with Deandre Swift. Because if not, you're probably going to have to look elsewhere, or you can keep him as your 3rd running back and, not bring back Adrian Peterson on another deal if you like him more than Adrian Peterson, whoever the next guys are. But I think Mccarrion's kind of the odd man out right now where is he here or is he not going to be here? I think what we've seen recently is he's probably not going to be here, but it's probably going to be very difficult to find any kind of trade value for Mccarrion Johnson. It's almost rather would you cut Mccarrion Johnson, maybe save a little bit of money, but you're maybe forced to do that anyways because of where you sit and where its next salary cap could end up with it being low because of the COVID issues this year. You could be forced to, maybe we got to release a guy like Mccarrion Johnson because I just don't know how realistic it is for some team to give up a draft pick for Mccarrion. I mean, maybe they do. If you can find a draft pick for Mccarrion, I think that might be your first option, but I just don't see that being super, super likely. So is it realistic that you keep Mccarrion Johnson as your 3rd running back knowing that, hey, he's on his final year anyways? Or would you rather just release him? Would you rather just release him and say, okay, we'll save whatever we possibly can and put it towards a free agent running back, put it towards a draft pick and, whatever money we have to pay that guy. It does come down to whoever the next guys are here. What do they want to do with it? But assuming that they don't, assuming that they have the same outlook of this team, the Lions need to make sure they find a running back to pair with Deandre Swift. Pretty clear this season. Now, everybody's different, but it's pretty clear the Lions are trying to, not give too many carries to Deandre Swift. Try not to overuse him. Try not to give him too big of a load. That was always what the Lions were trying to do with Deandre Swift. They didn't want to overuse him during games. And I don't think you want to do it. I don't think he's a very big back. I mean, he's a little bit on the smaller side. He's one of those guys where I don't think you want to give him 30 carries a game because you don't want to risk that. I mean, right now, he is your running back. Without Deandre Swift, we really don't have a lot of talent in the running back room. And I kind of came to that conclusion this season that, okay, my thought used to be, hey, if you got a great offensive line, really doesn't matter who's touching the ball, they're all going to look great. That's true. I mean, a great offensive line will make everybody look better. But there is a difference in running backs. There is a skill gap, clearly. There's a skill gap between Deandre Swift and Mccarrion Johnson, between Deandre Swift and Adrian Peterson right now. Now, Peterson's just a little bit older. I mean, I think Adrian Peterson's still very skilled. He's just older. But I think there's a gap there. I mean, Swift is clearly our best running back, and that means catching the ball, but also rushing the football. I mean, he can just make guys miss. Seems like the first person usually always misses. He makes things out of the backfield when plays aren't there, and he's able to pick up yards, and it reflects in the numbers that he's putting up this season. He's by far putting up our best numbers. And like I said, about 6 weeks ago, he's basically taken over as our number 1 running back, and statistically this season, he's averaging 4.6 yards per carry, getting 9.2 carries per game on average. Those are some good numbers. 4.6, if our entire team was doing that, it'd be the most yards per carry that we've ever had under Matthew Stafford. It's kind of crazy. But the issue is you have Adrian Peterson averaging 3.6, getting about 10 carries a game, and you have Mccarrion only averaging 3.5, only getting 3.5. carries per game. Look at our offensive line right now. I don't think our offensive line is bad. I think after a solid foundation built here. Frank Ragnow is a very good center. He's a Pro Bowl center. He's one of the best centers in the league. Again, I don't love the Pro Bowl, but he is one of the best centers in the league right now. In terms of run blocking, pass blocking, he just needs to get that throat fixed, but he should be all right. We know he's part of the future here. Taylor Decker just got the extension, playing really well this season, maybe having his best year this season. So those two guys are kind of locked down. You have Jonah Jackson, who's playing a little bit above average in terms of the rest offensive linemen in the league. He's not great, but again, he's a rookie. I mean, everybody loves PFF. He's actually grading out lower than Oday Abushi and Big V. But he's still, he's kind of learning. And I think you have to believe that he's going to improve next year and he'll be part of this team. Big V, he's been solid. I mean, Big V has actually really picked it up as he's gone on. Very slow start, but it's been the injuries. It's specifically been his foot injury. I don't think it's something that the Lions are concerned about long-term, but his ability to play all different positions. Maybe he's the guard next year. I don't know. But I don't think it's a terrible offensive line. You want to believe Logan Stenberg can take that next step. Maybe Terrell Crosby is part of the future. Maybe Big V tries to go back to guard. Either way, I think the offensive line could use work. With our resources, knowing our defense needs so much work, you can upgrade it a little bit, try to add some depth, but I think you definitely need to make sure that you have another really good running back because Deandre Swift right now is making the offensive line look much better when he gets the ball than Mccarrion and Adrian Peterson do. Maybe it's just simply because of the vision. I think for Peterson, he has the vision. He's just slow, right? He just ain't the same player he used to be. But Deandre Swift, he seems to be able to find the holes, make the move, and make a play. And honestly, I have to say that it can't be super surprising to think that he's levels above of our other running backs because, well, yes, he was another second-round running back, and we've taken those in the past. They haven't worked. Deandre Swift was the best running back that we have drafted in terms of rankings. Like when you go into a draft and they have all these big boards, but he's kind of on the same idea of, okay, here's probably where he is compared to the rest of running backs. And Deandre Swift was like first, second. He was one of the top. A lot of people had him as the best running back in the draft. We landed him in the second round behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but it was only the third pick in the second round. It was almost a first-round pick. We landed him. He was the best running back in terms of his peers in that draft. When we took Kerryon Johnson, he wasn't the number one, number two. He was like the sixth running back in that draft from what most people believed. Kind of the same thing that we've been doing. Second-round running backs, but they weren't that good. Deandre Swift was looked at as an incredible running back that when he fell to us, it was the best talent available. You had to take him. And I think we see the difference. We see that Deandre Swift, he's just better than our other running backs right now. The games that Deandre Swift wasn't here because of his sickness, wasn't really an injury. I mean, there was a concussion report. I don't really think it was something that maybe is going to come back. I hope it doesn't come back, but it was like a sickness. He missed those 3 games. Well, in those 3 games, so you're thinking, okay, AP, Mccarrion, you're going to get your opportunity to step up, right? Well, Peterson in those games had a lot of carries. The first game, 7 carries, the next game, 15, 16. But he only averaged 2.5, 3.6, and 3.5 yards per carry in those 3 games. And you look at Mccarrion through those 3 games, he would have a bigger role, only 3.3 yards per carry amongst those 3 games. A solid game, yes, against Houston. He went over a little bit over 4 yards per carry, but through the 3, just 3.3 yards. Okay, so I look at that and I say, all right, without him, again, you see they weren't able to really pick up the slack that well. I think there's even more evidence to suggest that this may have been in the making. The time that we did have Mccarrion, we did have him a little bit last season before we had Deandre Swift in 2019. In the 8 games that Stafford played when we were 3-4-1, we averaged 3.3 yards per carry. Sounds familiar, right? 3.3, that's awful. Fortunately for Mccarrion, even though he's missed time when he's had the opportunities, we just haven't seen him thrive. And it's almost like the Lions just kind of said, okay, you know what? We're going to roll with AP this year more often than not. Now, Deandre Swift isn't perfect. He has the fumble issues, which needs to be fixed. He's fumbled a couple times recently. That's got to be fixed for sure. Not perfect. He's dropped some passes this year. He obviously dropped one against Chicago, but he's a rookie, right? You see these mistakes, but it's just about what you see that he can be. When he's clicking, and he's our best running back right now. And I think we've already seen, he's missed games. Not something I necessarily think will come back. But again, you don't want to have him getting tons of carries. You want to make sure that he has someone to split with. So this offseason, we don't have the most resources. We got a lot of things to work on. But I think the running game can really help out everything. Let's start with the offense side of the ball. First off, quarterback. Who's it going to be? I think there's 2 likely scenarios. One is Matthew Stafford, who will be 33 years old, dealt with some injuries, recently. Nothing really super serious aside from his rib bone, but he'll be fine by next year. But he's had to deal with a couple of things. Obviously, you've never taken pressure off of him. Like I said, if you go by yards per carry by year, I'll run through this. This is pretty sad. 4, 4.1, 4.1, 3.4, 3.7, 3.8, 3.64, 4.1, 4.3. The one time we actually were top half in the league in yards per carry was 2011. We were a playoff team that year. We were one of the best offenses in the league. 2010, 4, 09, 4. We've been below average every single year. Some of the couple of years we were last in the league in yards per carry, but it's that 2011 season we were actually okay at yards per carry, and we were top half in the league, and we were a playoff team. And it was just really behind our offense. 2014, our defense was really good. 2016 was the comeback year. But 2011 was a very good offense season. Stafford put up some ridiculous numbers. Ran the ball the best that you have. We had, I believe it's 11 100-yard rushers with Matthew Stafford. 11. That's not good enough. I mean, if you look at who of our best running backs been under Matthew Stafford, it's really been Joy Bell, maybe Reggie Bush, kind of on his last leg there. I think he had the 1,000-yard season. But those have been your best running backs. Those aren't great running backs. You haven't had really studs in the backfield for Matthew Stafford. Have you tried to hit on them? Yes. Jonathan Best, unfortunately, his career ended due to injuries. His last year was actually going pretty well till injuries. But you look at Michael Ashore, you missed there. You may have missed on Mccarrion Johnson here. You've missed on certain picks. Now I feel like our offensive line, while it isn't perfect, it's not set, it can use some work, I think it's getting there where it's going to get better. And we have a foundation that's going to continue to work together and improve. We built a lot of it through the draft, now some free agency. So I think the offensive line, they can use a little bit of work, but I think they're on the right track. But it's really about putting another really good running back there to take pressure off of. I don't want Deandre Swift getting 25, 30 carries a game. I don't want that. You're getting hit too often. I don't want to see that out there. I want to have a number 2 across him. Offensive side, you might have a Matthew Stafford that needs some pressure taken off him because it's never had the pressure taken off him. The one time it maybe was a little bit, we were a playoff team, so that obviously helps. Also, the last time we made the playoffs, 2016, we had the most time per drive on average. Obviously, a rushing game can help that if you want to control time possession. The defense off the field, knowing that next year, at best, maybe we're an average defense. At best, we're the worst in the league right now. At best, you might be average. No matter what moves you make in draft, you're probably going to be, at best, average. Heck, a lot of draft picks, they don't contribute year one. A lot of times, maybe you hit on 2-3 guys that contribute year one. Just because you draft a defense player every single round doesn't mean that they're all going to contribute. Maybe your first couple round picks do. That could be it. You just never know. It's always a risk in the draft. But so at best, maybe you get to average next season, which would be great, by the way. Or your other scenario is you have a rookie quarterback. So you have a rookie quarterback. Now, right now, we have a terrible defense and basically no running game. Is that what you want a rookie quarterback to go into? I don't. What happens if something happens to Swift? Now, what position are we looking at here? Mccarrion Johnson, maybe AP gets brought back. There's no pressure then taken off the run game, and your defense, again, at best might be average, but it's probably going to be below average. Do you want to put a rookie quarterback in that situation? No, you don't want to kill his confidence. So again, a running game for him would help. It would be some of the same safety blanket to take pressure off the pass, to open up the play action. It doesn't have to be another second-round pick. It doesn't have to be a top pick in this year's draft. If you want to go in the draft, take one, you could do that because it's going to be cheaper. You'll have him for 4 years. You'll have him under a rookie deal. Maybe you want to go third round. You want to land a Chuba Hubbard something. I don't know. If you want to do that, fine. You could do that. Or you can look at free agency. Now, free agency is still far out right now. We don't really know who's going to be available. A couple of names I wrote down. Wayne Gallman, he'll probably get paid from New York, though, this year. He'll probably get paid a good amount. I'm trying to look for some, cheaper names that are out there. It's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to find a cheaper name in free agency that'll also be a big upgrade from what we have at the running back group because unless you go in the draft, because, the draft is going to be just very cheap on its own. Marlon Mack is an interesting one. He's 6 foot, 210. And I don't think the Lions have to go the power back route. We saw Green Bay basically do that. They went with Aaron Jones, and they got their A.J. Dillon, who's their power back. They have their 2 running backs there. A lot of good teams with one really good running back had the number 2. Really, aside from the Titans, who just put it all on Derrick Henry. But I don't think you want to do that with Deandre Swift. Henry's a big dude, right? That dude's a truck. I don't think you want to do that with Swift. But you see a lot of teams, Minnesota, they always have a good number 2, solid number 3 with Dalvin Cook. A lot of the teams do it, right? They have that number 2. It could be a similar running back. They could go with a similar running back. They could go with a power back like what they do with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. They could go with, a receiving running back. From Swift right now is not only is he running the ball well, he's also giving you so much out of the passing attack. 43 receptions for over 460 yards, and he's catching 80% of his passes. I expect that to just improve. He is a safety blanket right now for quarterbacks. If you get a young quarterback, he's your safety blanket. With Hockenson, a nice little running back to just dump the ball off and he can make plays. So I'd like to have another running back that can bring that to the table. One thing I love about Mccarrion is he can do it all. But find me another running back that can do that to a certain extent. Maybe Matt Breida, right? 5'10", 190. We know about the injuries there, but he had some big years in San Fran. Not as a number 1, but he had some big years. And he's also not too bad with Miami. He's just missed some time. Unless you truly believe that's going to be Mccarrion, which I don't think the Lions do right now. We'll see if the next guys do. But I would like to find a number 2, take some pressure off. It'll help the defense. It'll keep them off the field. If you can control time possession. Like I said, we had the most time per drive in 2016. We made the playoffs. It would help if we could do that, keep the defense off the field, knowing it's probably not going to be very good. And it also helps out a young quarterback. It helps out Stafford, whoever is there. if we can find a number 2, that way we don't have to overuse Swift. I mean, if you could get a guy that's, can go with Swift and each guy's getting 10 carries per game, and then maybe you have your AP or whoever that may be as your power back and your goal line back that's getting the 3 to 4 like Mccarrion is right now. Maybe that is Mccarrion that's getting the 3 to 4 if he's willing to do that again. Maybe he wants to go elsewhere. Maybe you could try to trade him. Whatever you want to do, I think you need to make sure you address that number 2 running back position and try to find a way to give Deandre Swift a nice little wingman back there and help out really this entire team next season. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? Yo, hey. Shout out to all the members, man. Look how many All-Pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member, because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?